Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to study about the State Council in China. So we have already seen that State Council is like the cabinet. It is mentioned in the Article 85 of the Constitution of China. It says that the State Council is the people's central government. It is the highest organ of state administration. It is a kind of cabinet and also responsible to the National People's Congress. Like in India, the cabinet is responsible to the parliament. Same as in the case of China, the state council is responsible to National People's Congress, which is the parliament in China. Talking about the composition of state council, the head of the state council is the premier or the prime minister. There is a vice prime minister, state councillors, then the ministers who are in charge of the ministries and commissions. Then comes the Auditor General, Secretary General. The number of these members, except for the Prime Minister, who is obviously one, is determined by the NPC. So the number of the state councillors, the ministers, all of them are determined by the National People's Congress. Premier or the Prime Minister is appointed by the President, and the other members are chosen by the National People's Congress on the recommendation of Prime Minister. We have seen in the functions of the President that he chooses the Prime Minister. He formally appoints. The final choice of the person who is going to become the Prime Minister is of National People's Congress only. The tenure of the State Council, it is constituted for a period of 5 years. The Prime Minister, Vice Prime Minister, and the State Councillors are not allowed to serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. That means all these 3 bodies can serve for maximum of 10 years, not after that, in consecutive terms. All the members of the State Council are removable by the President on the recommendation of the National People's Congress and the Standing Committee. This also we have discussed in the functions of the President, that the members who are appointed by the President are also removable by him. So this is the same point, that the President can remove the members of State Council who are appointed by him, but on the recommendation of National People's Congress and Standing Committee. Then comes the functions of State Council. It formulates policies and also look after their implementation. It runs the administration of the country. It frames administrative rules and regulations. It takes policy decisions according to the Constitution and issues orders to implement them. Frames proposals for legislation and submits them to the NPC. See, we know that it is a kind of cabinet. So obviously its work is very much similar to the work of National People's Congress. It is just that it is the backstage worker. It formulates the policies and looks for the implementation. But the end result or the name comes of the National People's Congress. The policies formulated by the State Council is further discussed in the National People's Congress. It runs the administration. Like in the case of India, the ones who run the administration, the ones who are the holder of the knowledge, are the IAS officers, but their name is not mentioned anywhere. This is the same case, that the State Council does all the work, but eventually the name is of the National People's Congress. It frames rules, takes policy decisions, proposals for legislation, and the one lawmaking body is the NPC. So the legislation is passed by the NPC. It also lays down responsibilities of various ministries and commissions. It supervises the work of ministers and the ministries. It directs all the administrative work that does not fall in the purview of individual department. Now there are departments for different things, for example, defense, education, all of those, and the work which does not come under individual departments, is undertaken by the State Council. It also determines the responsibility of administration of the provinces and municipalities. It's responsible for administering the affairs of education, science, culture, public health. That means the entire country, the administration of the entire country is in the hands of State Council. It also draws national plan for socio-economic development and state budget. It looks after public security and judicial administration. See, this is the government of China. So all the work, all the important tasks are undertaken by the State Council. It conducts foreign affairs, it formulates foreign policies, it ensures proper defense of the country, decides on the size of administrative services. There are many functions of State Council. For example, it recruits, trains, and removes the officers of the civil services. It safeguards equal rights of minority nationalities and autonomy of national autonomous areas, decides on the enforcement of martial law, protects the legitimate rights of the Chinese living abroad. It exercises all the other functions and powers as the NPC and Standing Committee may assign it. That means, apart from these mentioned functions, some other functions can also be exercised by the State Council if the National People's Congress and Standing Committee assign them. Next comes the Premier. He is the Prime Minister. He is the head of the State Council and the government as well. His name is proposed by the President to the NPC. We already know this. In practice, the party leadership decides as to who is to be designated as the Prime Minister. Because of the dominance of the Communist Party, the Prime Minister is obviously decided by the party leaders only. He is appointed for a period of 5 years and cannot hold office for more than 2 consecutive terms. His removal is also decided by the NPC but implemented by the President. The present Prime Minister of China is Keqiang. Now let us look at the functions of the Prime Minister. He is the head of the State Council and also the government. So he directs all the work of the State Council because he is the head of it. He is also the chief coordinator because all the ministries and commissions come under the State Council. So he coordinates the task of all of them. He decides the name of the colleagues who are chosen by the NPC and then formally appointed by the President. Indian Prime Minister also chose the ministers who are going to help him in the cabinet. So this is the same function here also, that he decides the name of his colleagues. He participates in the performance of all those functions which are entrusted to the State Council. The position of the Prime Minister, he does not enjoy a pivotal position like that in Britain and India. The Prime Minister of India is a very important person in India, but this is not the case in China. The position of the Prime Minister depends on the personality of the incumbent and the place he holds in the party hierarchy. If the person has a charismatic personality, then he might have enjoy some importance. Otherwise, if he holds a special position in the party, Communist Party of China, then the office of Prime Minister can gain some importance. Otherwise, this office does not enjoy much significance in China. This was all about the State Council and the head of the State Council, that is the Prime Minister. Thank you. If you like the lesson, please press the like button and also subscribe to my channel.